Gentlemen, what is good? Today's video is going to be, I hope it's going to be a good one. There were some things that when I was thinking about, because this video has actually been inspired based on a conversation I had a couple days ago with a young guy I work out with at my gym. And I was thinking about it on the way home from the gym today. And that's when I do my best thinking. I wish there was as you're driving, when I'm driving, that's when I come up with all my ideas. And then I gotta like somehow voice text it to me. If I forget to do that, I forget some of my ideas. I got the gist of what I want to say to you guys, so I think it's gonna be a good video. It's gonna be disappointing to me, but at least I'm gonna give you some content, something to chew on here. Okay, and that's what I try to do. I try to give you guys good content. I'll work on my video editing and video quality and stuff like that in the future when I actually get people that are watching these videos. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep putting videos out. Okay? I think I'm up to 26 or 7. I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm hoping that at some point these things stick. And one day, the idea is that you guys come back and watch these old videos and like, oh, wow. Yeah. Project Aletheia actually had some pretty good ideas. No one was paying attention. That's the idea. This video is going to, real quick, I got to get used to this, and I got to figure out how to come up with some banners and shit like that for my YouTube channel. I'm not good. I'm not tech savvy. I'll figure this out as I go. But hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I guess that might help me out, right? If you see this, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and that way you'll at least get some stuff out there. You'll at least help me out, I guess, is the idea. Help me out because I think I have something that might be useful to you, all right? Especially if you're a married guy. And I think I actually have something to offer for guys who are young and single or recently divorced as well. I've been all those things in my life, and I think I got something for you. But today's video is going to be called My Advice to Young Men Who Want to Get Married, and this is based off of a conversation that I had with a former collegiate football player at my gym, and he's actually one of like the guys that I work out with a lot, and he's one of these younger guys. He's like 25, who I work out with him and another kid who's about to go into the military he's like 23, 24. He's about to go into the military as an officer training, and these guys are just in tremendous shape. And so I intentionally try to work out with the people that are really in good shape. It doesn't matter what age you are, but the younger guys tend to be in better shape. And I keep up with them for the most part. I tend to actually even sometimes beat them, which I feel pretty good. And we do. I work out. I told you guys that I work out at a former CrossFit gym. It's no longer affiliated, but we still do basically CrossFit workouts. And if you don't like CrossFit, whatever. So you're missing out. Trust me, it's a good workout. My conversation with this young guy, it kind of made me realize it's this is one of the reasons why I wanted to start this YouTube channel, is because I want to talk to men. And he was telling me about his relationship with his girlfriend, and he broke up, and I didn't even know he had a girlfriend. And he goes, yeah, we were running around the block as part of our workout, and he goes, yeah, I broke up with my girlfriend. Dude, I didn't even know you had a girlfriend. He goes, yeah, I've been with her for a year and this and that. And he's 25, and I'm like, all right, well, how old's your girlfriend? He goes, well, she's 20 years old. Okay, 20 years old. And I'm going, well, what's the problem? He goes, well, she's always going out and hanging out with her friends, and now that the COVID thing's over, she doesn't want to be around me, and she'll call me late night, but that's about it. And I said, dude, that's what girls do today in their 20s, early 20s. They're flaky. Their biggest fear is missing out on the party with their friend. And I told him that. I said, listen, she's probably got another good 7 years in her of partying. And this I know because of the fine gentlemen who have done all the work before me coming up with these videos that I've recently discovered. You guys in the Red Pill community, Rollo Tomasi, you guys in your little chart and all that stuff. Like it makes it so easy and predictable. And there's so many guys out there that still are so lost and that need this stuff. And so I instead of me actually telling him what I should have told him, because I never want to be the guy that gives unsolicited advice. I don't know if you've ever been around people that just love to give advice. Like, they become uninteresting very early. Like, you don't want to be around them anymore because they're just the person that gives you advice. And so I gave some advice, and I said, yeah, she's going to be flaky, this and that. And, she's probably going to be partying, man. You might want to just like move on. And these girls today, I said, they're really not interested in getting married until they're like 28. And then we were working out next to another girl that was a friend of ours, and she was engaged. And I said, hey, around what age were you interested in getting married? She goes, I don't know, like a year ago. And I said, how old are you? She goes, 28, right? And I looked at my buddy and I was like, you get it? And he doesn't get it. But I kind of left it at that. And then there were some things that I was thinking about on the ride home, and then on the ride home again today, about if I really wanted to dive deep in giving this young guy some advice. And I don't ever want to be the guy who just gives advice that is not wanted. I want to give advice that's wanted. So that's why I'm going to put this on this YouTube channel, because if you're watching it, you're seeking advice. And that's when advice is well taken in. I know this. I worked in mental health where people were forced to come in by the state and by judiciary systems to receive help. And if you don't want help, you're not going to get any help. It's not going to happen. So here's what I would have said to him. And this is really, this is why I made this video, because this is really what I wanted to say. And this is free for you. So here you go, young men. Women in between the ages of 18 and 28, they are in their party years. They're in their party years. And this has gotten worse in the last decade, especially since 2010 when Instagram really blew up. It's gotten worse. And now we have, it's so true. Like I feel good about who I am as a person. I feel I'm in good shape. I'm also, excuse me, as I catch my notes here. I know when I walk into places, especially here in Pittsburgh, there's not a whole lot of very attractive people. So in Pittsburgh, as a man, I think I'm probably one of the more attractive guys. Whereas if I go back to New York, where I was an average guy. If we're in Miami, I'd be a below average guy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not below average, but I would be like amongst the crowd. Where here in Pittsburgh, I'm probably a step above the average guy. And believe me, if you find a girl who's a 7 or 8 here in Pittsburgh, have fun with that, because there's not a whole lot of them around here. But women today, and what I would tell them this is that women who are in between the ages of 18 to, I would say, 27, 28, right? And we know that's when they hit the epiphany phase, right? In their late 20s. They're not going to be able to recognize when they have an opportunity to land a high quality man. They think that high quality men are always going to be around, and they have no idea. And that's due to a whole lot of other things that I'm not going to be able to get into in this video. You can go watch the guys on Rule Zero and the Rollo Tomasi and the Richard Cooper guys. You can go watch their videos, and they'll be able to explain that to you, why that is. But it's true. You're not going to be able to, it's going to be very hard. My point was, I'm a good-looking guy here in Pittsburgh. Let me get back to that. I'm a good-looking guy here in Pittsburgh. And when I walk across 23, 22-year-olds, a few years ago, I might have gotten some looks. But nowadays, it's like, they're looking on their phone all of the time. All of the time. They're not even paying attention to people around them. And every once in a while, I can trigger an attraction arousal from a 21, 22, 23-year-old if I can get them off their phone. And I know this from personal experience. Girl cuts my hair. I can tell, super attracted, arousal factors with me. Her sister who works in the same place, same thing, because I have their attention. But like when you're out and about, these girls today, when they're super young, like that, dude, they are hooked on social media, and the social media is a very powerful thing. and it's what's influencing young women today majorly. And so you as a young guy, if you're 25, like my friend dating a 20-year-old, and my buddy, who's a great kid, and it breaks my heart, and this is why I made this video. It breaks my heart. He goes, and I just want to be married by 30, and I want to start having kids and a family. And he's doing everything in his power to make that happen. And he's been influenced by his family. And let me tell you a little something about him real quick. I told him, I won't say his name. I said, listen, dude. I said, she's 20 years old. She's got at least 5 years minimum of running around. I said, dude, and my buddy he's 6'4", blonde hair, blue eyes, former collegiate football player, and can back squat 500 pounds and makes 100K plus. And those of you in the red pill community understand that this is a high value man. I said, I didn't call him that. I don't use that terminology in the real world. I can only use it online because, by the way, I've never met a real life person or a real life red pill person in real life. I'm redundant there. I've never actually met a red pill person in real life. It's all online. Or I haven't even met him. I've just watched videos. But I said, dude, she's gonna fuck around in her 20s. Okay, and she has no idea. Like I said, dude, this is what I would say to him. I would say, dude, you're 6'4", blonde hair, blue eyes, former collegiate football player. You make $100,000 plus. You're in the top 3% of men, I would imagine. I said, I think top 3%, 10%, whatever it is. You're in the top percentage of men. This woman is not. This girl is not aware. She thinks a bunch of you are going to be everywhere for her, and she can fuck around in her 20s. She could ride the cock carousel in her 20s, and she thinks she's going to land a guy like you later on when she's done having her fun, and that's just not the case. The other thing I would have told him was that I've been watching from what I've seen on YouTube is based on research, is that starting in the year 2030, women in their 30s, which is this young girl, basically, women in their 30s and in their 40s, more than half of them are going to be alone because of what's going on now. They're going to be alone, childless, never married. Alone, childless, never married. And why? Because 20-year-old girl who has access to a man who wants to marry her at 25, he's 25 years old, he's 6'4", blonde hair, blue eyes, works out, attractive, football player, 100K plus. His dad, oh, by the way, they're from Pine Richland here in Pittsburgh. You could look up Pine Richland. Their high school team is always they're like the state champions. It's like one of the most affluent areas in all of Pittsburgh. Grew up there. She has no idea what she's turning down. She doesn't care, and she won't for like another 5-6 years. And what I would have said to him is I would have said, listen, dude, you need to go on and you need to move on. Okay, you have to be able. Women today, as far as within your age range, they're not going to be ready for anything. Okay, they're not going to be ready for anything. Let me look at my notes real quick. So what you need to do is you need to focus on your own mental point of origin, and that's what I would have said. Right, going back to rational male, focus on your own mental point of origin. You are the guy who women should be pining for, but they're not pining for. They're not, because they're lost. I mean, they're going to end up alone, and this is based on research. Okay, I think it was Merrill Lynch or one of the banks all the investment firms. You can watch. Anyway, it's true. There's been studies out there that show that after 2030, more than half of women are going to be alone in their ages of 30 to 40 with no kids, never been married, nothing. And that's a sad thing, because right now, girls who are 20, if you come across a guy who's 6'4", who makes 6 figures, collegiate football player, you would think she would want to marry him, and it just doesn't happen. It's crazy to me. I mean, it's crazy to me. So my advice to you is, if this kid is struggling, don't be surprised if you're struggling. And I think that you need to be focused, and I'll get into this in the video. You need to be focused on you, and you need to be ready to make some hard decisions if you want to be married. Okay? Because being married today is going to require you having to go against your own gut intuition, your own gut feelings. It's going to require you to make hard decisions, really hard decisions, and to prepare yourself for it. Okay? I mean that. And this is coming from a guy who's been zeroed out. I put on my Twitter, I recently put on my Twitter that I'm a zeroed out sojourner. And it's true. I am. And I've been there. So focus on your own mental point of origin. See yourself as the prize. This kid, he should see himself as the prize. He doesn't. He has a scarcity mindset because he's blue-pilled, but he's a good kid. He's a good guy. He's like an alpha, but he's blue-pilled. And it's painstaking to me to watch that. It really is. And I'm making this video because I'm talking to him, but I'm talking to you. I don't know how to tell him this, and you have to see yourself as the prize because he is, and you are. If you're working, if you're 22, 23, 24, 25, if you're 30 years old, dude, you're young. If you're 35, you're young. I got married at 40. I got remarried at 40. And I could have waited. I could be having my fun with 21-year-olds right now if I wanted to. Don't ever tell my wife that, but I think she knows. You could tell her that, actually. She knows, which is why my marriage is great. She knows I have options. You have to also understand that women mature early. They start maturing very fast. And I worked in school systems. I've been around kids my entire life. Little girls, because of our society today, everything's trying to turn the female way is the correct way. So little boys, if they don't act like girls, they're defected. So we're trying to turn them into girls. All right. Next video is coming on. Cool. I thought I'd put my laptop here and play some of my old videos for a nice little effect. Cheesy, whatever. But, all right, where was I? Women mature early, okay? And as early as in early childhood. And what I meant to say was, like, the way that the schooling systems are is it's designed to basically uplift the way that females are raised. And you could look this up. There's a book called The Boy Crisis Behind My Head by Warren Farrell. He talks about it. It's true. And I've worked for schools. I've worked in mental health. I've worked in churches. Even all three of those places right now, they're treating young boys as defected girls. Trust me, they are. You don't have to trust me. Send your kid to a school. And what is he going to do? He's going to come back. Anyway, so girls are taught at an early age that they are amazing, and then they hit their late teens, and all of a sudden they are sexually attractive by all these men, and they start getting all this attention. And it's guys, we don't even start maturing until we start really hitting our late 20s, early 30s. We don't even become attractive until our 30s, mid 30s. And I would say that even carries in. We can start our attraction levels raising up, I would say, even into our 50s today. I would say well into our 50s, okay? Especially now with technology, with testosterone replacement therapy, with the stuff to be able to keep your body looking good. Muscle becomes more refined as you get older. As you work out, it looks better. I know guys look good early, young on, but what I would say is that it's possible for us as men to look good for a long time. With women, they have maybe a 10-year gap, 18 to 28. And after that, they have to work really hard to do that. My wife would be an example of that. She works out 6 days a week. She's 37. She's sexy as fuck. So she is. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass, but she is. And women have to work really hard at that age to look good. So And that's actually one day I'll make a video about why I chose her, and I made a list about that, and thought about doing that in this video, but I'm not going to do that right now. So I'm up to 20 minutes. Holy shit. So if you marry a woman, and here's another thing you have to remember as a young man. If you marry a woman young, right? Let's say hypothetically you married her at, I don't know, 21, and she had a low notch count, right? Let's say she hasn't slept with a lot of men, and that's a reason why a lot of men would choose women early on, is because they don't want to marry a woman who has been with a lot of guys, and that's from an evolutionary standpoint, that's something that's completely natural. It's a reality. Men who have been with a lot of women are attractive, and women who have, because they're sexually experienced, and women who have been with a lot of men are unattractive because they're a poor test for paternity. Honestly, from an evolutionary standpoint, it's true. And as a Christian man, I'm not saying there's no God when I use the word evolution. I'm just saying that I believe as a Christian man that in ancient Earth theory, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the world being very old. It doesn't make sense to believe that that world's only 6,000 years old. It makes zero sense. So, but if you marry a woman at 23 years old, what's going to happen? Let's just say she's a virgin. For whatever reason, she's a virgin, and she's a unicorn. Well, what do you think is going to happen 10 years down the line, right? You're 35, you marry a 21-year-old virgin, which doesn't exist. And if she does, we have no way of proving it. We don't believe it. What happens? Well, you run the risk of her, after having a couple of your kids, hit 31, 32, and at that age, women can still look good. They have technology like we do to make themselves look good, right? And technology, I mean, it could be anything, lipo, whatever. Makeup. They have more access to stuff like that than we do. Working out, right? And I mean, I'm telling you right now, I've always had a thing for older women for whatever reason it is. I don't know. I've loved women of all ages, but I find older women attractive for whatever reason. A lot of other men do. But what happens? Well, she wonders what it was like to miss out, because everybody else in the culture, right? Everyone else, all her other friends, they went out and they partied and they had their fun. And she's going to feel like she missed out. She's going to hit 33 years old, had 2 kids with you, and she's going to feel like she's missing out unless you've absolutely maintained frame. Even if you've maintained frame, right? She's always going to have that in the back of her mind, because we live in the gynocentric social order, right? We do. It's just that simple. That tells women, this is what's best. It's that Sex in the City. Have your fun early. Marry the nice guy at the end. She's always going to wonder. And what if you marry a woman who's 28, 29, 30, 31? What's the benefits and downfall of that, right? So the benefits of a 23-year-old who's a virgin is she's a virgin. She hasn't been ran through. And a lot of men find that valuable. But 10 years later, let's say, she's 10, 15 years older than you, you're going to have to deal with the headache of her wanting to have her Las Vegas nights out or something like that, or wanting to go back out, or wanting to do something for the fear of missing out, or for feeling like she missed out, right? Making up for missing out type of thing. So what's the benefit of marrying a 28-year-old, 29-year-old? Well, she's been there. She's done the nights out. She's gone to the vacation party. She's had her fun. What's the downfall? Well, she's ride the cock carousel, and she's been she's promiscuous. She's been run through, right? She's slept with 20 to 50 guys, and a lot of men. We know that men, evolutionary speaking, we know this. We find that to be sickening. We get sick in our stomach. We're not allowed to say that as men today. But it's true, we do. And society today wants to tell us that we're crazy for feeling that way, and wants to tell women that they're okay doing and acting promiscuous, but they're not. Men are the only ones who can be promiscuous. A man who has slept with 100 women is attracted to a woman because he's really good in bed and knows what he's doing, and women don't care about how many women he slept with. But a woman who slept with 100 men is unmarriageable and not going to be able to raise her kids right, because I mean that's just unfortunately the way it is. She's unfit for paternity. She's not going to be qualified to raise your kids, because you're not going to know if it's her kids. Your kids. You're not going to know if it's your kids. And that's death to a man, right? It's death to a man. And there's also a death to a woman, which is, choosing the wrong guy, which is a whole nother conversation about female hypergamy. But here's what I recommend. I recommend you following Jesus' example. I'm going to tie this into Christianity. Jesus waited 30 years to start his ministry. I recommend you at the very least wait 30 years. You prep for 30 years of your life to prepare for whatever you want to define as your ministry, whether it's a marriage. And if that's the case, you need to have your finances in order. You need to have a lawyer. And this is going to make my last point here. You need to be able to afford an attorney on retainer. You need to be able to have everything in line ready for you, which means physically looking good, financially looking good, and being sexually experienced. And this is something that I didn't get into yet in this video, but what you need to do, one of the reasons why, and I don't mean to make the correlation with Jesus. Jesus was apparently a virgin. We don't know. I mean, I assume he was, right? Scripture doesn't specifically say Jesus never had sex with a woman. But he was something about pure, and we've interpreted purity as not having sex. Not sure why, because, I mean, okay. But follow the example. Part of your preparation should be not only preparing for your ministry or preparing for whatever it is in your life. If that means wanting to have a family, and that's what this video is about, is wanting to get married, to be married. Don't do it early. Here's why. You want, as a young man, you need to keep up with the women sexually, I mean. And this is a hard part of understanding for most young guys today, is that the average woman today is sleeping with 20 to 50 different men, and you need to at the very least match that with your wife. Okay? So a lot of women today, and especially women now, I would say going back to anybody born before 1980, most women before 1980 are now sleeping with 20 to 50 different men. And you as a man, you're going to need to keep up with it. You're going to, at the very least, have to deal with that, to be as sexually experienced. Because if you don't, what's going to end up happening is she's going to compare you to every other guy that she's ever slept with. And this is true. And it's what happens, and a lot of guys don't want to deal with this, okay? She's going to compare you to all her other sexual previous partners, and especially compare you to the top 2 or 3, 4 guys that she's had sex with. Out of the, let's say, 30 guys she slept with, there's 3 or 4 that were really good. There's one that was the best. And you're going to need to be the best in order to have a successful marriage. And this is so foreign to most guys, but sex is the glue that holds marriages together. And this is the tragedy of feminism. I've hated feminism for a long time. I've started to actually realize that I didn't hate it. I kind of have a love-hate for it, because it allowed me to have lots of sexual experiences with women, lots of women. And I'm not talking about hundreds. I recently coming across this community of pickup artists. I realize my number's pretty low. I feel like a virgin compared to them, but compared to my past life, growing up in a church, the number of women I've slept with would have been appalling. I mean, I'm in the 20 to 50 range, and I don't want to. Because I refuse to tell my wife how many I've been with. She's asked me a number of times. I refuse to tell her. So I don't want her ever catch into some of these videos. But I'm in the average girl range, the 20 to 50 range. And if I were ever let's say if I were single right now, I could double that if I wanted to. I could probably get to 100. I could probably get to 200 if I wanted to, based on the experience that I've learned in the red pill community over the last year. I could easily, and the way that I've worked out for the last year and have changed my gains and look good now, I'm like, easily. So, what's my point? As a man, you need to be with multiple women. Okay, you need to be with multiple women. You need to gain experience. You got to gain experience with women, and that's sexual experience. You don't have to sleep with all the women around, but I would say you have to keep up with the average woman so that you understand how to sexually please women, because you have to see it as you basically wanting to please your future wife. And I know you think that not every woman's like that, and I would say at the very least today, a prude woman would have slept with 10 men, and a unicorn would have slept with 3. And there are no virgins anymore, and they're losing it very early. A unicorn 3, a prude 10, and your average 20 to 50, and a complete slut 75, and that happens regularly. And there's women that are well into the triple digits, and there's not a whole lot of men, and that comes back to the 80-20 principle. I would imagine that 80-20 principle, basically we've seen over the years that the top 20% of men are banging, 80% of the women, something like that? Or no, excuse me. Yeah, 20% of the men are banging 100% of the women, and 80% of the men are not getting laid. So, anyway, I'll leave you with that, man. I think that what you need to be also think about doing is, if you want to get married early on as a young man, the last thing I would say is, do you have enough money to keep a lawyer on retainer? Do you have enough money to keep a lawyer on retainer? At least a $5,000 retainer. If you don't, you have no business getting married. If you don't have your assets, if you don't have things planned, I would also say learn about your state laws. Each state varies different, and I'm in Pennsylvania right now. For now, the states are not, the laws are not that harsh against men as in other states, but you have to learn your state's laws, and that's another thing that I don't mean to take lightly, but think about that, okay? So that's that. When I'm at 32 minutes, this video is way longer than I thought. But thank you for listening. If you came this far and you watched this video, thank you for listening. But I can't stress to you enough. I think you guys, you need to be waiting until you're, into your mid 30s to be getting married. I think that's the target mark. I think you should, and that should make you feel better, because as a man, you're going to be attractive. As long as you keep yourself working out, as long as you keep yourself financially there, you'll have options and gain experience with women. Sleep with different women. It's okay. If you're not going to do it, other guys will. And you need to do that so that you're able to sexually please your wife in the future. And I'm sorry to wait for 33 minutes in to tell you that, but you have to be sexually experienced, because your wife's going to be sexually experienced. And if you're not going to be able to please her. You just won't be able to please her. And it's going to be a real problem for you. It's going to be a real problem, because if she finds you boring in bed or just boring in life, it's going to cost you your life savings. So trust me. So, all right, that's it, gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Catch you in the next video. All right, later.